What's going on? It's Joel Casanova, and welcome to the B100 Dance podcast talk show. If you're listening to this, it's a podcast, but welcome to the B100 Dance talk show. So, first things first, my name is Joel Casanova. I am the owner of B100 Dance, the creator and founder of B100 Dance, and the host of this talk show. Applause, applause, applause. So, this talk show exists to help your dance journey be healthy, efficient, and 100% yours. Okay? Healthy, efficient, 100% yours. Those are three very, very important things that you need as someone who has a dance journey. Okay? This is what I'm talking about when it comes to the illustrated sermon, I guess. The illustrated message, right? You can see that? Yeah. Okay. This is a Russian nesting doll. So, what does it have to do with dance? I'm so glad you asked. It has everything to do with dance. So, a Russian nesting doll, in case you don't know, is, and if you're listening to this, in case you didn't see it, it's a little wooden doll thing. It's like it's almost like carved, right? So, Russian nesting dolls are, well, they're dolls, but they are made out of wood and they split up. So you have a very large one, and then you cut it in half. It's designed to cut in half. You have a slightly smaller one inside of it. And you open that one in half, and there's a smaller one inside of it. And you keep on doing that until you get to the very last one, which does not split open at all. It's just made out of solid wood. It doesn't open. You can't break it down any farther. Okay? People are like Russian nesting dolls. Okay? You start off with the biggest, most hollow outside shell of who we are as people, right? Your height, your hair color, your skin color, your clothes, all the things that have no gravity on who you are or how you act as a person. But there's more and more layers that you open up and get deeper and deeper into. And as you get deeper, you get closer to the core of who someone is until you get to the tiniest Russian nesting doll, metaphorically speaking. That is the core of who someone is. It cannot be broken down any further. It is at the center. These are things that, like, deepest fears and aspirations and loves and likes and things that you don't say on a first date, right? Keep these to yourself. Just talk about food preferences, right? This is something that is at the core of who you are. They're very important to you. They're very significant to you. What does that have to do with dance? I still haven't answered the question. I will answer the question, right? This core part of who you are, right, is at the very center, and you have the very biggest one, which is, again, like I said, has no gravity on who you are, right? And there's a bunch of layers in between there. One of those layers is dance. Okay? The closer dance is to the core of who you are, the more important it is to you and your life, the bigger a role it plays, the more significance it has in your life. Okay? When it comes to our personhood, it will never be the core of who you are. You are a person, okay? And dance always has to do with you as a person, but it makes up who you are as a person. It's never like, I am dance incarnate. Okay, it's not gonna happen. Okay? You are a person. That's how you keep dance in a healthy place. But at the center, one of the layers, one of the dance Russian nesting doll that you have has a different placement in your life. Okay? That means three very significant things that affect our mindset. Okay? Especially when we have a dance journey and we're on a dance journey. These are things that can help you course correct while you're on your dance journey. Keep it healthy, efficient, and 100% yours if you're getting the theme. Okay? Number one, it does not matter whether you do it, dance, as a hobby or professionally. Okay? Dance will have a placement in your life, and it does not matter if you do it as a hobby or professionally, right? Because we don't know what's happening in people's hearts, minds, souls, spirits. Like, you don't know what's happening on the inside of someone. So that means we cannot assume that because someone is doing it professionally, that dance is at the very, very close to the core of who they are. And that if you're not doing it professionally, you're just doing it as a hobby for fun, that it is really not that important to you or your life. Because it can be completely flipped. Like, completely flipped. Right? So don't judge where the importance is and the significance of someone's dance is in their layers based off of how they physically express it. Right? That's not a one-to-one. Number two, based off of the layer that dance has in your life, personality, what role it's playing, what layer it is, the Russian nesting doll is, that will affect and change the choices and decisions that you make on your dance journey. And by dance journey, just a reminder, the thick definition that I gave in episode 1. If you haven't seen that, watch episode 1, right? Choosing dance classes, taking workshops, deciding which teacher to be under, deciding what mentors to connect to your life, places to go, places to move, people to dance with, ideas to express, creations to create, ways that you're expressing yourself, how you express yourself. It all matters. And there are all ways that you can express yourself on your dance journey. But depending on where it is in your dance journey, it will change, right? It will affect the choices and decisions you make on your dance journey. When I was growing up, I found out at like 15, 16, 17 that you could do this professionally. Like, the director of my studio was like, hey, like, you're good at choreography. People do this for a living. They travel and teach for a living, like nationally, locally, internationally. Like, this is the thing. Had no idea. And that was the first little seed that I could do this professionally. Excuse me. So I went down the direction that everyone hears. And so, because I wanted to do hip hop, I wanted to do it commercially instead of doing Broadway, because I wasn't into theater at that time. Didn't know that much about myself. I was like, I'm going to LA. That's what's happening. Huge story behind all the things that happened. And I ended up going in the opposite direction because of where dance was in my life, how it was connected to me as a person, how it was connected to my faith in God, how it was connected to who I was and what I wanted, what I knew at the time, right? And that took me in a completely different direction. I literally went to the opposite coast. Instead of all the way to the left, I went all the way to the right, and here I am in Virginia Beach. Okay? So, based off of where it is in my life, I want to dance professionally. I want to teach, and that took me in a completely different direction. It didn't make sense to me at the time, but now makes sense to me. If dance was just a casual thing that I wanted to do, and it was further away in my Russian dancing layers, I might not have moved at all. I might not have continued dancing. I might not have started my business while in college, right? It's all the could have, should have, would have, potential multiple timelines and multiverses, right? That could happen in a multiverse where Joel Casanova doesn't dance, right? Wild. I don't even want to think about that. So that's number 2. Where the layers are will affect your choices and decisions in your dance journey. Number 3. Okay. Number 3. Here's the thing. When we're considering a dance journey, we're considering something that is organic. that ebbs, it floats, it grows, it breathes. It's a thing that is living because it's connected to us and our journey, our life. That means that dance, the layer that it is, no matter where it is right now, it will shift and change in layer or in purpose. Okay? I'm gonna put my foot down and make a solid stake in the ground. It will, as a fact, change. Okay? That means it can get closer to the core of who you are, or it can become further away from the core of who you are, depending on where you are in the chapter of your life. So, the key to that is being okay and accepting the shift that happens and giving it the importance that it deserves. Both the shift and dancing, those are two separate things. Okay? Giving dance the importance that it deserves is a thing, which I've talked about. The shift is also important. It is part of the ebb and flow, the journey, the story of your life, right? So how that thing shifts and changes, because it will, is something that you need to keep in consideration. Take time to think about where you are, what has changed if things have already changed, or not mentally brace yourself. That sounds like it's negative, but mentally prepare yourself, sober yourself up to think about how it can and will change. For example, I didn't know what dancing was, like the whole of the dance world was and how deep it was, until I was like 11. And then it like skyrocketed. I plummeted into like the core of who I was. Right. And I was going to competition and I moved to another studio and then they're like, hey, you can do this professionally. And I was like, what? Why did no one tell me this? I'm so mad that no one told me this. Okay. But it was the core of who I was. It could not be broken down any further. And then things shifted. Okay. I realized I'm a person. I'm a human. And as a human, I am not just dance incarnate. I have likes and feelings and dislikes and other things and interests that I want to do, which has just, as I've put Joelle back into the core instead of dance, that just made me realize how deep of a person I am. I have so many more interests and likes and dislikes and talents, etc. So what's really interesting is that as I put Joelle back in the center, that's when I started realizing, oh, the core of who I am is Joelle, but the layer kind of shifted backwards, which was a good thing for me. It got further away from the center of who I was, which was so healthy for my dance journey. And then it shifted in purpose, right? So I went from being a dancer, performer, peer-to-peer dance relationship to a teacher, instructor, mentor, authoritative hierarchy position. And that was a lot of turbulence on the flight of my dance journey, which was wild. And it was so good to have done, but it was hard to shift. And so if I knew that I had to go through those things, I would never have chosen to do that at the maturity level I was when dance was the core. It's like, this is about me. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to change this, right? And now I will go out of my way to teach and mentor someone in dance because I realize how important it is to me. And now, just last night, I did an audition for a musical theater show, and I'm like, I realize how performing is still in there. It's still part of my dance journey. But based off of where I was in my life, it's been years since I performed. Well, a couple months, but before the couple months, it has been years since I performed as the performer instead of preparing people to perform as the dancer. Okay? So, those are things that you need to consider, those three things to consider to change your mindset so that you are not stumbling into the right place for your dance journey Instead, you are intentionally choosing where to go on your dance journey and be okay with where it takes you. As long as it's healthy, efficient, and 100% yours, it will help you. These are things that add to the mindset. Okay. So, so I hope you enjoyed the Russian nesting doll analogy that I just connected to dance. And here is a small preview of the conversation you're going to hear with me and my friend Julia Wednesday.
You know, I feel like right now I'm probably the person I wanted to be growing up. Like I wanted to be everything, like a little bit of everything. Like you can pursue your career and be serious enough, but at the same time you can be fun outside of your work. You can have a tattoo, you can dance, you can travel, you can have a dog, and like you can, have a relationship and maybe be silly at times. And I think that's what makes a person wholesome. Like it's just, I find people who are like that very interesting, versus like what I was talking about, attracting the wrong people. I'm actually very bored by people who are just pursuing one thing, abandoning everything else. I think that's just not very healthy, and that's kind of boring. And I think we have more to ourselves just than our occupation, basically.